Hello.
Welcome, welcome back to an edition of Hanging with the Howards. We know you've missed us. We know it. You
Yes.
know it. You've all missed us. I'm Brian Howard, joined alongside my gorgeous and talented wife Letitia, and we are back for this wonderful episode recapping our trip to the West Coast, meaning San Diego. Tish, how did you enjoy San Diego?
I loved it. Everybody at work asked me how I enjoyed my trip, and I told them I had a good time. We had a great time in San Diego.
Yeah, I had an absolute blast. I mean, that was my first time, in San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
as the wonderful anchorman Will Ferrell would say San Diego, not San Diego, but it is what it is. And for those people out there in San Diego, you stay classy. Um, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
no, I think we had a great time. It was very short. I think we wish we probably had 2 or 3 extra days left.
Mhm.
But work calls, duty calls. We already got a busy month of June and
Yeah.
uh, into July. So, this trip to San Diego was very much needed.
It was. Yeah, it was kind of one of those spur of the moment things that we just had to kind of fit in to all of our other travels. Grandbaby turned 1. So we had to make that trip out there. We couldn't miss that special event. So we just had to get out there and celebrate it with them.
Yeah, I think from the start to the finish, it was a very good time in San Diego. That is.
Yes.
Seeing our grandson turn 1, I think that was extremely special, and
Hmm.
he was extremely happy that we were there.
Hmm.
Um,
It took them a while to realize that we were real and not on
yeah,
the phone.
yeah, it was touching our faces quite a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
that was
but
sweet.
the flight out there was pretty good and everything. I'm just kind of curious. Does anybody know? And this is for a question for the masses out there. Does anybody know when Delta stopped giving away headphones to watch movies? I'm just curious
Oh, when
because like I didn't have a set of headphones, and when we asked the flight attendant, I wanted to call her a stewardess, but it's really flight attendant.
yeah.
When we asked, she asked how many, and we said one, and she just kept walking back and forth. It was like she never saw us.
Hmm.
But I just kind of want to know, like, when did they stop giving away? I mean, I realize our country is a little run down right now. But at the same time, I mean, come on now, headphones really don't cost a lot.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're made like in China or something. And maybe the tariffs or something maybe stopped it. I don't know. Because, I mean, seriously, I don't know where they're made, but I'm pretty sure the last time I flew Delta, which I've flown probably within the last, probably 6 months, maybe with Delta, 6 or 7 months, and they passed them out like as you were getting on the plane.
Right.
So I don't know when this took effect, but when they finally gave it to us during like the little snack service, the lady reached down like in this secret compartment and was like, please keep these because we really don't give these out anymore.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of strange, but I do appreciate you stepping up and getting a pair of headphones because that trip from Atlanta to San Diego was pretty long.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. So we know now. Of course, I keep like 3 or 4. I never throw mine away. So I have probably, I don't know how many in my backpack, but I'm glad I was able to get you one. And my backpack was up in the overhead bin, or I would have just give me one of mine, but
Right,
it all worked out.
right. So, obviously we land in San Diego. We get, the ride back to the house
Hmm.
and then, celebrate poo poo a little bit and
Hmm.
then we go to Walmart and Sam's Club, and I think Walmart was probably the craziest journey I've ever been on in my life. Um, I'm sure other people have had these same similar things, but you guys were in line behind a lady that was in a one of those motor scooters,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, all right, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I dunk, fortunately the bathroom is literally right across. So I go to the bathroom. And I hear this lady yelling at this kid. I have no idea what's going on, right? And I come back out, and she is just absolutely fussing at this kid, and
Oh,
he ain't paying no attention to this lady.
he probably hears it all day, every day, so it didn't even phase him what she was saying.
Right. Um. So obviously, we had that, and our Sam's Club run, and got some pizza, and then went back to the house, and pizza and cupcakes. Great combination.
Oh, yeah.
Um. But had the birthday party and for Junior, and I felt like that was great. Um, and then we just crashed after
Oh,
that.
right.
You
Exactly.
know,
It'd have been a long, long day.
it really had. From the time that we got up to the time, I mean, it was still daylight. I think when we laid down
Mm-hmm.
in California. So
Oh, boy.
obviously that's recapping day one. The very first day that we get there, and then the second day we get up. You're jonesing for some coffee.
Yeah. What happened? It was, I woke up to a couple of messages that I did not particularly like. So I was content initially with just eating like some oatmeal, drinking some juice, whatever. But after those messages, I needed something a little strong. So we had to get up and go get some Mickey D's, get some coffee and breakfast.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting going to Mickey D's, and just kind of driving around. A little bit of sightseeing there in the morning time at breakfast. But what
Yeah.
was really really funny, all right, is the drive back from Mickey D's. Right, you're in the back with Junior. I'm in the front seat with Jasmine, and you say, "Hey guys, don't look." But that guy is smoking two cigarettes,
Mhm.
right? And what does your husband do? I
Of
look
course.
I look right away. Like, oh well, it can't be the car next to you on the left side, but it's gotta be the one on the right side. And I literally look, and this guy is smoking not he's smoking a cigarette and
Right.
a joint at the same
Yeah.
time. Unbelievable. But it is legal out there.
Yeah.
So
And
um
what really caught me was that he had his hand like out the window. So I
right.
mean, it wasn't like a secret or anything. The window was down, and he was just like sitting there like he do it all the time. I mean, I'm still trying to fix my fingers to see how he actually did that. But like a cigarette in two fingers, a joint in two fingers, and he would like smoke one, put it down, and then go back and smoke the other one. It was just fascinating. I wanted
Uh,
to report it, but I was scared I would get like shot or something because somebody was in the back seat smoking too. So I figure if I was looking at them, they were probably looking at me. It wasn't worth it.
no, no.
But we'll just have that memory.
It wasn't, and obviously we got back and had our McDonald's, and and then we had to go to the Marine base.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me, that was probably one of the most fascinating things to see, was being on a military base.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to give away the location of the base. I'm not going to give away all the. A matter of fact, I never took my phone out of up to even take a picture.
No.
Um, I respect the military that much, and to be on their base was certainly something special. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we spent a lot of time, just sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting, and
Yeah.
so it was good to be there, on the Marines military base there, and
Yeah.
uh, everything, and then we headed back, and um, I think that was the night we went to Liberty Square Market.
Liberty Station, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And um, yeah, absolute blast.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute blast. Just being there and seeing different things.
Mm-hmm.
A craft brewery place and a burger place and a wing place and
Yeah.
Mexican and Thai and
A lot of authentic stuff they had there.
very much. Highly
Mhm.
recommend it if you're in San Diego, Liberty Square Market. That's the place to go for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, that was really nice. Really
Um,
nice.
so yeah, we did that, and on the way back, just enjoying the ride back. And again, we're sightseeing
Yeah,
throughout the course of the entire trip.
yeah.
Um, the next day, getting up again. Now it's day three,
So
essentially.
it's Friday.
It is
We're going to
Friday.
Friday. Yeah,
I'm trying to remember what we did on Friday.
yeah. Me too. What did we do? We
Um,
got we got up early Saturday. What did we do Friday?
Friday, did we go to um because everything was on Thursday, and then Friday we went to Balboa Park.
That's what we did. Yeah.
Balboa Park, and for those that have never been to San Diego, Balboa Park is like the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
They got all the museums. The zoo is right there. That is absolutely. I mean, if you're looking for something to do, that's the place to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed being at Balboa Park. Plus, they were getting
Yeah.
ready to have a graduation at that
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Nice. A good place to, take some good pictures, which we did. That's my favorite thing. So we had to get those pictures in for the memories.
that we
Oh.
did. That we
Mhm.
did. And was that the day that Junior was fussing in the back seat? Yeah, because
Unfortunately,
when we drove back, we stopped off at Dollar Tree and then we went to the gas station because you gotta buy some lottery
I
tickets.
had to buy some lottery tickets in
Um,
which I won. Well, I broke even.
hey,
So
hey, winning
I
it,
didn't,
winner,
I
winner,
didn't
chicken dinner.
lose. Yep, I didn't lose.
Um, and then we go to McDonald's or to get a drink, and I mean Junior is just wailing at this point.
Yeah, it's bad. We didn't
Um,
know if it was hurting. We didn't know what was going on. And all the while, I guess he was just hungry.
he was hungry. You guys got him a bottle, and by the time we got home, I'm the one holding him. You guys are all in the kitchen, and I'm holding him, and he does his what I call it his tired, drunk head nod, sleep, and then he falls asleep on me.
Yeah, that was.
And and then we try. Yeah, obviously you guys try and move him into a better spot, and he just woke up. ten
Yeah,
minutes of sleep right
he
there.
didn't like it.
Right. So yeah, we did that. What we do at night though? I'm trying to remember what we did on.
Friday night, we went. Let me see. We went to the park. I don't remember doing anything Friday night.
I remember eating. I just can't remember what we had to eat that night. I honestly don't
Well,
know.
we getting a little old, y'all. We need to start writing this down. Some
I
down.
honestly, well, some of us are, but anyways,
As
uh,
you can tell, like we have like no cue cards. We're both still like exhausted from the trip. So we're just sitting here thinking like, what did we do Friday?
and so that well, whatever we did, right, Friday pushes us to Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and then Saturday, is Jasmine's birthday. It's all about her.
Yeah, so we
Uh,
had two birthdays.
Um, so all about her. Obviously great times getting up in the morning, and then again sightseeing. We went to the beach.
That was nice. We got up early that morning and everybody was up at the moment at like 8 something. Well, we waited about 10 minutes too late to move and we lost one. So Shanna didn't make it to the beach.
Oh
She went
well.
back to sleep.
All right, bye, Felicia.
But it's so
Um,
we had fun.
no, we really did, and it's amazing. You know, I've managed to see the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. I refuse to call it the Gulf of America. So for me to see the Pacific Ocean was incredibly huge.
Mm,
So I certainly enjoyed seeing it. And just kind of taking in those sights. It got a little cool out there.
I
Uh,
did.
a little couple
Hey,
of little raindrops, as you would say,
which
fell
I
on.
feel.
I mean, then we headed back to the house, and obviously to get Shanna or wake
Mhm.
Shanna up. Um, and then we went out. Eventually went out
Mhm.
and got some Chinese food, and you redeemed your lottery ticket, and
Mhm.
um, Jasmine got to try what is that, sweet tea and Sprite.
Yeah. Yeah. She had to go in because they wouldn't make it for at McDonald's. So they were like, no, we don't mix drinks. So she had to go around and park and go in and do it herself. But going back, Friday we ate at Chili's.
That's right, we did eat at Chili's, man.
It's coming back. It's coming back
Yeah.
to me
But
now.
but I mean, and
That's
that was an
sad.
experience. That was an experience in itself because you wanted to take Jasmine to Chili's, and a little pre-celebration birthday, I guess, and poor Junior had to wait a little bit for a high chair.
Yeah, they were busy.
Um, um, I don't think you were a fan at all of the loaded baked potato soup this time.
Oh my gosh, that was disappointing. Because everywhere I've gone and ordered the loaded baked potato soup is thick, it's creamy, a good potatoes. This was like liquid with no potatoes and like green onions, but it's also California. So that may be how they eat their loaded baked potato soup. But I saw very little potatoes, a lot of green onions, and it was like I could have drank it pretty much.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah. So a little disappointed there.
Um,
But we have to do, what is it, when you're in Cali, do as the Calis. I don't know what you call it.
do as the Callies, I
Do as
guess.
Cali. I don't know how the saying goes, but yeah, it
Um,
was not what I thought it was gonna be. But everything else was good.
no, everything else was, and then obviously Saturday night,
Hmm.
we had the Chinese food, and and then Jasmine was able to get a nap before going out,
Hmm.
and we played the role of babysitter.
We did. We did.
Um, and I just want to state for the record, I really enjoy when Junior falls asleep on me.
Hmm.
Just stating it for the record. Um, but that takes us to Sunday morning. And folks, you are in for a story time for sure. Um, between, like, for myself, I've ordered countless Ubers before. And we got up super early to catch this 8 a.m. flight, West Coast time. And um, obviously myself and you were up. Obviously, Shanna, we gotta get her up.
Yeah, she made
But
it though.
I'm sitting downstairs, and you're like, "Do you want to order the Uber, or do you want me to?" And I probably should have just let you order the Uber at this rate. So
Hindsight's 2020.
yeah, exactly. So I ordered the Uber, and I said, "Well, we got three of us. We got three big bags. Um, we probably need an Uber SUV." Right.
Mhm.
And so we get an Uber SUV. I schedule it. It comes. It even backs up to the garage. Perfect, right? So I go out there. I give him my bag, all this stuff. So I get in. You get in. Shanna gets in, and I'm all the way in the back.
Mhm.
Um,
It's like a black suburban with tinted windows. So we really were thinking, oh man, we're going to the airport in luxury. We
Yeah.
got this Suburban. Oh, we're gonna be rolling up in the airport looking good.
Well, and I thought that actually.
Well,
I said, man, look at me. Man, I'm making my family proud right here. And then disappointment hit
quick.
very much. So we leave out of the driveway and then we get to the stop sign where we would normally turn left. We end up turning right. And I'm thinking, well, maybe the driver knows a shortcut, right?
Hmm.
Who am I? I don't drive this stuff. And then he turns right at the next street, and essentially he's making a block.
Hmm.
Now I paid for the Uber. I paid for it.
Because they
It
don't even come
literally
pick you up if you don't pay for it, right?
right,
I mean, that's a part of the process.
and it shows, hey, all right, this is where you're being picked up, and this is where you're going. And we're going to Delta at the
Hmm.
airport, right?
Hmm.
And so he stops, right? Because you're telling him, hey, why would we pay $50 to go around the block? Like we're going to the airport. And then I get up from the back to show him. And now it becomes an issue because
Yeah.
he thinks I'm coming at him aggressively, which I wasn't.
Hmm.
I'm actually trying to be helpful and show him, hey, I've paid for this. This
Hmm.
is where we are. This is where we're going. And so he didn't want to hear my voice, so I gave you my phone, and now you're trying to calmly explain to him, and
Hmm.
now you and Shannon are like, all right, well, we gotta go to the airport.
Yeah.
So
And he even gives Shanna his phone.
yeah,
Because he's constantly telling you, you got to update your phone. You got to update your phone. This is taking you back to this house. This is where I'm supposed to take you. And we're like, we just left from here. So literally gives Shanna his phone. Shanna's trying to figure out a way to map us out to the airport to show we're going to the airport. But something happened on his end. Either he didn't update his phone to show where we're supposed to go, or something happened with the app or something, because there was nothing on his phone either that had anything about the airport.
right.
So Shadow looked and it was nothing. So it was just like the glitch of all glitches. I don't know what happened, but it just got worse from there.
Yeah, so I mean, now you guys are you got them on the interstate,
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, we got to go to the airport." One thing that we noticed, like when we went to Balboa Park, is that they were closing the roads because they had a rock and roll marathon going on that morning.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, oh well, you can just take the interstate and get to the airport, right? That's all I'm thinking. And I'm in the back, and he keeps saying like he ain't getting paid.
Yeah, he's like, this ride is for free. This ride is for free. And me and Shadow was like, no, it's not. Just keep
What?
going.
And so I get back up for a second, and he now swerves to want to let us out on the interstate on the side
Hmm.
of the road. And you and Shannon are like, no.
Yeah, we're pleading at this point. And keep in mind, like some people have asked, why didn't we record this? But when it's happening in real time, and you think about the horror stories
Oh my
of
gosh.
the rideshare drivers, having weapons and just doing all kinds of crazy stuff, then we were like trying to do anything that we could to like keep this man calm, to get
Absolutely.
us as close to the airport as possible. We were literally giving him like turn by turn directions, like, okay, in 2 miles, get in the right lane and take this exit. Um, so I wasn't scared, I don't think. It was just happening so fast and so crazy. Like it was just so unbelievable that he literally was about to swerve over and put us out on, I think, like freeway, the 94 freeway, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And me and Shannon were like pleading to him, like, please just keep going. Just keep going. And he would sit silent for like a minute or two. And then he would start right back in. This is a free ride. I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid. And we would have to calm him down again. And then as soon as Brian opened his mouth, oh, the guy went off again. I was like, please just, mm-mm.
Now, now, now,
No.
in my defense, right? In my defense, I wasn't belligerent and I wasn't yelling at him. I was trying to explain the same thing that you all were trying to explain, which is it's been paid for.
Yeah.
Like you not seeing it, like that's not my fault. That's your fault because you can't see it. And I don't know if he wanted us to pay him and pay Uber, but I am doing both.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's what when I would told some of my coworkers, that's kind of what they, and I think even like your parents too, were even kind of
Yeah.
saying that he was wanting to like double dip. Like, yeah, because he even said it, he was like, yeah, you paid the company, but you don't pay me. And we're like, yes, we did. This is how this works.
Yeah.
We don't pay you directly out of our pockets. We pay Uber, and then you get whatever you get from Uber. And I was like, but we'll give you a tip when we get to the airport. We'll give you extra money. I was trying to say anything at that point to get to the airport.
Well, and the way
So,
that he drove, all right, first of all, swerved to the right to potentially leave us on the side of the highway and then speeds up. So now
mhm,
you putting all our lives in danger. And I didn't think that that was right. Again, I've never had an Uber driver like this, not one time. So I was like, I'm fearful. And like you had said before, like, well, why didn't you all record it? Look, I was so much in
mhm.
shock.
Yeah,
I
we couldn't.
couldn't even record it because there's no way that this possibly could be happening.
Yeah.
So fortunately we maneuver our way to Harbor Street, which is
Mhm.
now we're 2.5 miles from the airport. Right? He pulls to the side of the road. And babe, I swear to you, all right, when he pulled to the side of the road and put the car in park, literally said to myself, like, if you ain't going, I said it to myself. I didn't say it out loud. If you ain't going to go the rest of the way, I ain't paying for this.
Mhm.
Like, I ain't got time for it. Now, you've been to that airport, so you knew, but I've never been, right?
Mhm.
So it wouldn't have helped me in this situation. But all I was thinking was, we gonna waste all our time and effort right here when we're 2.5 miles away from an airport, complaining about are you getting paid or not when you actually are getting paid on Uber.
Yeah.
And so you had said, is there somebody that you could call? And finally he picks up the phone and calls somebody.
Mhm. And by that time, though, about the same time that he called the guy, you canceled the ride.
Yeah,
So I was trying to explain to the guy on the phone. He was like, okay, so what's going on? And so I was trying to tell him that it wasn't on our end. I was trying to make sure that he knew that we weren't blaming him.
right.
It's like, hey, it's not your fault. It's not our fault. We pay, and we even went so far as to show the guy, look at this bank account. You see, it's this $50 is taken out of his account. Look, he still didn't believe it. So by the time I started explaining to the guy that he called, Brian had already canceled the Uber and another one was on the way. So
Yeah,
we just
I
said, forget it.
yeah, I don't feel like I got time to waste. And
Hmm.
if you don't want my business, right, I'm not gonna give it to you. I will do my best to give it to somebody else.
Hmm.
And sure enough, another Uber pulled up like 2 minutes after this guy let us out.
Yeah, as soon
Maybe
as he
not
put
even
us,
2 minutes.
as soon as he put us up on the curb, pretty much, and by the time he pulled off, the other guy was there.
Now the funny part is once that new Uber driver pulled up, you were like, make sure he's going to the airport.
Right?
So
I
I
will
asked
always ask that question from now on.
and so I ask, and I mean, immediately the guy says yes. And so he puts our bags in the trunk. He gets in the car and he hits something on his phone. Right
Mhm.
now, what I'm assuming, and I'm not an Uber driver, but I stay at a Holiday Inn Express, so I'm pretty darn close to this. I'm pretty sure he's hitting confirm pickup on it.
Mhm.
Right. So he takes us to the airport. Bless his heart, 2.5 miles. He got a nice tip off of that because he didn't have to do that, but hey, he getting a nice tip.
Mhm.
So we get into the airport and we go through security, and now we get to our gate, and now I'm still upset because I've canceled the ride, but I want Uber to know
To know what happened.
what happened, and I took screenshots, so I got the guy's name and tag number.
Mhm.
like again, this ain't right, So so I reached out to Uber, but it was like Uber business and they couldn't help me find whatever. So we boarded the plane to go to Atlanta. By the time we land in Atlanta, I got an email from Uber saying because you canceled your ride, you were charged half the amount. I said, no, that ain't right.
Mm-hmm.
So I emailed Uber, like I found like where to email and submit like why, and I even put like a screenshot of the driver and the tag and everything. And I said, I don't feel like I should be penalized and pay half the amount when that driver was belligerent, reckless, dangerous, whatever you want to call him. He was.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we were getting ready to go from Atlanta to Huntsville is when I got a message back from Uber saying we refund you the whole amount. We apologize.
Mm-hmm.
And what's been funny is I've been getting messages from Uber up and through today. Like, hey, why don't you rent with us? You're half off your next ride, whatever it is, right?
Because
And
then you threatened to go to use Lyft, like from now on or something like
I,
that.
I didn't say it, but like I was gonna use that as the next extreme
Mhm.
if they wouldn't have refunded me the full amount. And I'm not that type of person. I don't like canceling. I don't like taking money away from people, But in this particular case, that guy didn't earn the money,
Mm-mm.
and for the hassle that he gave us, I certainly wasn't gonna give him the money.
Yeah, it could have been a very bad situation. And like I said, and Shanna did a very good job. She was very calm, trying to give him directions and stuff, trying to keep the peace and everything. But it could have gone really bad because, like I said, you never know. Passengers and drivers, you never know what they have on them. You never know what kind of mental state people are in. So that's kind of where I was coming from. Like I said, it's just like, let's just try to keep this guy as calm as possible. And, he did get us off the freeway. He did get us at least to Harbor. But you just never know because, like, when he was saying, like, you were threatening him, you're being angry, who's to say that he didn't have something on him? And then would have tried to
Absolutely.
justify it by saying, well, he came, tried to, come up to me, just anything that he could have made up. So luckily, our flight wasn't until 8. San Diego is a pretty big airport, but it's really not hard to navigate. So
Right.
we left the house at 5:30, 5:35. So even after all of that, we still got to the airport by like 10 after 6.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we wasn't any kind of rush. Of course I tried to use that as like bargain. I was like, look, we can't pay hundreds of dollars to, we've got a flight to catch. We don't, we can't pay hundreds of dollars to change flights and just get it to the airport. We'll give you a tip, whatever you need, just get us there. But he was just insistent that he wasn't getting paid for this trip. It was a free ride. Kept telling Brian about every 2 or 3 minutes, update your phone, look at your phone now. And every time like he wouldn't do it, it's when he kind of threatened to pull over. He
And,
was like,
and
update your phone, you've got to update your phone. And we're like, why? And I sat there and I literally did the whole scenario. I was like, think about it. Why will we pay you? You pick us up at this particular location. We've just paid $50. Why would we pay you $50 to take us around the block and drop us back off? Think about it. Does that even make sense? But he just kept saying, this ride is for free. Yes, are you not paying me for this ride? I mean, it was nothing that we said. Common sense was out the window with him. It was nothing that we could say that would convince him that even after showing him where on Brian's phone where we were going and how much was paid, he didn't care.
no,
So
no,
that's why I think it could have possibly been like a scam that he tries to do on people. Because like I was saying, why if I'm a person, I'm trying to get somewhere Like Brian has ordered like Ubers and stuff for me before. So a
Yeah.
lot of times it's not even on my phone because I didn't order it. So it's like, why would the customer have to update on their phone where you're supposed to take them? That's the whole point. If I'm in a city I've never been in before, then why would I have to navigate you to that place? That's the whole
Right.
point of taking an Uber. It's like, but he was insisting that it was on his phone and that he needed to update it. And it was just, it was bad. It was a bad 30 minutes
Yeah,
of
and he
our
didn't,
lives.
like the difference between the two Uber drivers, like the second one got in the car, hit confirm pickup. Like that Uber driver, the first one didn't even do that,
He
because
just
I was
got
the
in
first
and
one
took
in there,
off.
So I don't know if it was a scam. I don't know, but I am appreciative it got us 2.5 miles to the
Yeah.
airport. But I maintained my peace and my calm. I didn't cuss at him. I wanted to though. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to.
I think we
Um,
all wanted to, but I want to make it to the airport alive. So I was just like, okay, let's just calm down.
yeah. I mean, So in a sense, nobody would believe this story. I mean, literally nobody would. But you're right. Like it was one of those random things that has happened. It's for the better because now we know what to look for.
Yeah.
When we get in an Uber, and it's sad, but um, I'm thankful that we were able to get on our flights, and I'm thankful Uber, again, props to Uber for refunding the money, the cancellation fee, and all that stuff. Because that ain't on me. I wouldn't have canceled if I didn't feel. I've never canceled an Uber.
Mm,
I've always felt safe in an Uber, and this was the one time where I never felt safe. You
yeah.
know, um, and I felt like we were all in danger of losing our lives that day.
Yeah. It's a very real possibility. Very real. So,
So
so sorry there's no video to share. You just have to believe us because it was in that moment, it was very intense. Nothing like we've ever seen. So,
nothing at all. Nothing
but
at
we
all.
made it. We made it to the flight on time, made it to Atlanta on time, even though we didn't have as much time in Atlanta as we thought, because we did leave a little late from San Diego. But that's also why I like to schedule long layovers. So we still had, plenty of time to get to our gate. Shanna got to her gate, and everything was fine. But just that last little piece of San Diego did not go as planned. Everything up until the end was smooth, and everything after the end was smooth. But such is life. So
Yeah,
we'll always remember it for sure.
absolutely. And for my cousins that live in Los Angeles, I apologize for not. First of all, letting you know I was out in California, but I mean, I really didn't have a car to travel to LA, and I did get to see the 805
Hmm.
freeway, and I did not see OJ Simpson on that freeway. So,
He went there. No
but
Broncos.
I did enjoy the trip,
No,
and
it was short but sweet.
it brought such peace and joy that I needed.
Mm,
I am so much wrapped in my career and my job sometimes, and this was such a welcoming opportunity to get away.
mhm,
Sometimes I don't do that. Actually, not sometimes, all the time I don't do that.
mhm.
So this was an opportunity that I'm certainly thankful for. Thank you. Because you made it possible, even though I resisted many times.
You tried.
I tried, but everything was priceless. It was worth the wait to get there, and worth the wait to spend that time with our daughter and our grandson, and our daughters, actually both of them.
Mhm.
I mean, although one slept all the time, so I mean,
That's son-in-law. Son-in-law.
Yeah, and my son-in-law. I got the opportunity to meet him, and again, I'm thankful for the military service and what they do for our country. And without them, none of this would, the freedom and stuff would not be possible. So, certainly a shout out to the members of the military.
That's right. Well, this is the first of our summer adventures. We have more to come.
Yeah, this
And we'll
summer
be-
is action packed. Action
yes,
packed, right? So yeah, we definitely got more to come. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to more podcasts, more sharing of these events, and hopefully we don't run into any more Uber drivers that crazy.
right.
Um, but you know, I mean, I'll be honest with you, and this thought popped crossed my mind. I was close to calling 911,
Mm,
like, cause I ain't in the wrong in this. Normally, I would admit, hey, I'm in the wrong on something, but I wasn't in the wrong.
no.
Um, hey, again, props to Uber for everything that they did too.
Mm.
I'm not gonna take my business to Lyft though. Lyft's a little expensive,
Woo.
you know. Um, you
They
know,
take a lot of money out of your pockets, that's for sure.
100%, 100%. Uber is cashing in on that right now,
Yep.
guaranteed.
Mm.
But yes, this is just the first of many adventures this summer.
It
So
is.
so stay with us, stay tuned. We got plenty of stories. I'm sure we're going to share.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and everything. But we're going to close it out. We were a little lengthy on this one, but hey, we hadn't been around for much.
Yeah. It's been
Um,
one of those years so far. This thing's popping up, but we're gonna get on it because we're gonna have a lot of content to share over the next few months. So we'll stay
absolutely.
on top of it.
Absolutely. Well, like we always say, in our marriage and in life, everything is always
Work.
worth the wait.
See you next time.
Deuces.
Bye bye.
Bye.